Welcome to the Knowledge for Men show. Your life will never be the same.
Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development.
I want to die empty of regret. I want to die empty of my best work. We don't understand who we are. Instead, we're living out somebody else's narrative.
What one man can do, another man can do. If it's been done, it can be done again.
Being yourself and being your truest, most authentic self in every moment. If it scares you or makes you a little afraid, do it. Follow your heart and your gut.
The first stage, I think, is finding you, like finding out who I am today.
Stuff will not work. You will have things that fail. Success is when you're a happy, fulfilled person. How do you define success?
It's your life, and you are the creator of the movie script that is your life story.
Hey, my team and I are offering a 3-day intensive retreat in San Diego, California. This retreat is going to be so powerful and transformative. My team and I will show you how to discover yourself, your true potential, and help you find your path and purpose in life and uncover the warrior's courage that is within you. I literally put my heart and soul into this program, and the reason why you want this is because I will save you time and money from having to figure out all of this on your own. There are only 10 spots available for the retreat, so go to kfmretreat.com to learn more and apply for the program. Again, that's kfmretreat.com. All right, guys, welcome to the show. I'm here with Jayson Gaddis. He's a breakthrough marriage and relationship coach for smart and successful people. He also runs men's groups in Boulder, Colorado. Jayson, happy to have you here on the show.
Thanks, Andrew. Good to be here.
All right, let's dive in with a favorite success quote of yours or some sort of saying that you've lived by that's helped you on your journey, and then explain to the audience what that means to you.
You got it. You can make yourself miserable or you can make yourself strong. The amount of work is the same. I think it was Carlos Castaneda. It means, I can sit and have a pity party for myself, kind of woe is me, and complain about my life and spend a lot of energy actually caught up in stories like that. Or I can use that same amount of energy to create the life I want. And, the energy is the same. It's like it takes a lot of energy to hate your life. And believe me, I've been there. So,
yeah, it takes more muscle to actually frown and look unhappy than it does just to be happy. Like, it takes work. You got to work yourself to be unhappy, basically.
Yeah, that's one way to see it for sure.
And the power is within you. You get to choose whether or not you're going to make yourself and become powerful from something, or is it going to make you a victim?
Yeah, and most people don't have any idea how to do that. We can sit and talk about that, and it makes sense to us. But if I'm a guy out there, my former self, and I'm suffering, and I'm not fulfilled in the inside, I don't know how to do that, right?
Major frustration right there. And I don't know if everyone even knows if they're fulfilled or not. It's like going through the day-to-day grind, and then next thing you know, time has passed and life has gone by, and where did that go?
Yeah, and I'd say the vast majority of people are that way.
Okay, before we kind of answer some of these questions here, let's dive into more about who you are, kind of learn your story and share with us your journey of how you got started with what you do.
Okay. So I help people in relationship pain have great relationships, essentially. And I was that guy. So what got me on the path of self-exploration and really understanding myself in a deeper way was my 7th failed relationship in my late 20s. I was pretty sick and tired of dating a woman for several months and not being totally fulfilled and knowing something's off and thinking the grass is greener somewhere else, and always making them wrong. And I really believed at the time that the right woman, if she came along, then I would be happy and fulfilled. So that's an outside-in approach. Just like a person believes that if I get the right job or if I make the right amount of cash, I'll finally be happy, right? I'll finally be fulfilled.
Right.
And that's the outside-in thing doesn't work. Anyone that's tried that knows this from their own experience. It's got to be from the inside out. So in order to do that, though, you got to work on yourself. And I was a guy who was an extreme athlete, extreme skier. I pushed the envelope a lot, climbing and mountain biking and partying and just pushing my edges constantly, mostly because I felt pretty numb inside. And I wanted to feel alive, and I wanted to feel myself, and I wanted to find more meaning in the world. And everywhere I looked, I wasn't seeing it. And so I would meet amazing people, but they weren't like a mentor. They weren't walking it, and they weren't teaching me the deeper layers of life. And probably because I wasn't open to it, even though a part of me I was longing for it, but I didn't know how to find it. So I would, go to South America or Central America or Alaska and hitchhike around and just try to figure it out, try to find myself essentially. And then it was relationship pain finally that had me stare myself in the face. I was like, oh, wait, I'm probably the one common denominator here in all these failed relationships. So, wow. And then the light bulb went on and I was like, okay, I can do something about that. And that's when I rolled up my sleeves and set to work on myself and started to study psychology and went to grad school and just devoured self-study and read everything I could, from spirituality to psychology to personal development, and just was looking in the mirror constantly. And then I started meeting amazing people and having breakthroughs and started having more of the life I wanted.
Wow. So how long has this journey been from that moment when you realized, when you had that aha moment, that this is something that I need to take care of?
That was when I was 29, I believe, 28, 29, and boom. And then within 6 months, I was applying to grad school, and within a year, I had moved to Boulder, Colorado, to start a graduate program in psychology. So, and then I just went after it for, a decade at least. And the work I do now with people is they come in kind of like I was, right, in pain and around their relationship. But the real issue isn't just their relationship dissatisfaction. It's they're somehow dissatisfied with who they are and where they're at. And it's really hard to get honest like that and admit that in a culture that kind of teaches us we should be enjoying ourselves and we should be happy and we should have it figured out.
Right. And so do you find that when these guys or men and women show up to you, are they blaming their partner for their unhappiness?
Yeah, that's right. Most guys, especially men, will take the sort of defensive approach, which usually is a demonstration of your insecurity. But when you're defensive and you're kind of pointing the finger outward, like I was for a decade, with these women I dated, I'm not going to get anywhere.
Right.
I'm just going to fire her and go on to another woman and then make her wrong. So that doesn't get me anywhere, because no one's perfect and no one can actually meet some, pie in the sky, unrealistic expectation of mine. So yeah, it's really common though that people at a lower developmental stage will come in a lot of blame, and they're really identified with it. They really have it that their partner's the issue.
They've found evidence, because when you're looking for the evidence, you're going to find the evidence that this reason, therefore I've got 3 solid reasons why they're wrong and I'm right, and why aren't they making me happy?
That's right. And then if I really conclude there, I will probably end the relationship at a certain point. And I see men do this over and over again. They'll make a woman wrong because, that's just what they do. And they don't want to look in the mirror and say, wow, maybe I'm the issue here. But for guys that do that, they turn a corner and they go to the next developmental stage.
Okay. So what's a guy to do? What's a fella to do who is at this stage and they are pointing fingers? And I think this is relative to not just even relationships, even like where they're at financially, like where they're at in their health. So I think this is a really good topic, but we could focus on relationships because I understand that's such a core element of this whole thing.
Pain's the only way he's going to get there.
So he can only experience this growth through pain. Like he needs to feel that.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Every now and then you meet a guy who's got an insatiable thirst deep down inside, and he knows that, and he'll follow that. But we're not really talking about the guy who has thirst usually isn't blaming other people,
right?
At least overtly. So yeah, a guy who's stuck in blame, I can't really help. I've tried. I built a business for 2 years and tried to help guys that were stuck in that stage, and it didn't work. It was a failure.
Why?
It was a good lesson for me.
Share with us why that didn't work. Like what was happening there?
Because people don't want to change until they're ready to change.
Okay.
And I was trying to beat them to the punch and say, no, dude, you can have an awesome life. I swear. Kind of banging my head against the wall. It's like dragging someone up a mountain that doesn't really want to get to the top.
Okay.
It's a lot of work,
Right.
Unless that guy wants to get to the top himself on his own 2 feet, it's going to be work, and it's going to be kind of a suffer fest.
Okay. So guys who come to you who are in a level of pain, maybe on the brink of a breakup, these are the guys that you feel like you can really help get to that next level because they're in pain. They want it. They want to get out of pain.
Yeah, the only guy that I can help is the guy who comes in and the only guy I'll work with these days, frankly, is the guy who comes in and says, I need help. And that right there is, that's like the white flag of surrender. And when someone surrenders like that and says, I need help, I can't do this alone, I've tried for years, we're in business.
Got it. Okay. And then where do you go from there?
Well, I set the stage. I set the context. Like, okay, the guy has a really shitty context for his life and for what the meaning of life is for him and what it's really about.
Okay, wait. What does that context typically look like?
It looks like saying, okay, life is a path. It's a journey. It's not a destination. Mm-hmm. And if you want to be a Jedi here on the path, you got to start paying attention. You got to wake up a little bit out of the trance that you've been in. And stop eating shitty food and stop watching TV and get off Facebook and start caring about yourself and your life in a deeper way. And you're going to start noticing when you look around your life is trying to help you get back in your integrity.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's the context. Life is supporting you. Even when you're getting your ass kicked by life, that's support. It's challenging, but you're getting information and clues. They're like breadcrumbs that are guiding you back to your integrity and back to your purpose in life.
So pain is a sign, is your brain and your body telling you, I don't like this. Something's wrong here.
Yeah. And you know what? It can be different for me. So I better start paying attention to all the clues around me and get on path, get on my life's mission here and live it because I've only got one shot here.
Do you believe everyone has a life's mission?
Absolutely.
And from this point here, do you find that when a man is on his mission, when a man is on his path and he's doing these things and he's consciously living and eliminating the shit in his life, the weight, the baggage, that this seems to make him more attractive? Or how does this help him in his relationship? A man on his path.
Well, you and we want to be around guys like that, right? So that guy's going to be way more interesting than a guy who's not on his path and is either going in circles or poor me, or maybe he thinks he has a great life working for the other guy or doing something actually he's not really deep down inside fired up about. That guy's going to be miserable, and you can smell that a mile away, and so can women. And it's not that fun to be around that. So I like being around people who, they don't necessarily have to be on their path, but they need to be on the hunt, right, to find their path. That guy is really interesting to me and attractive, and I like being around anyone who cares enough about themselves to find out why they're here and what they're here to do.
Yeah. And you said women can sense that. I think women can sense that, times 3. A man who's on his path versus a man who's just, you said, going in circles. I think women rely on those senses to identify and to find the man that they want to be with, that can protect them and have children with.
Yeah, that's right.
For a lot of guys, we probably never thought of that. Like if I was a girl, like I like to ask this question to guys: would you date yourself? If you were a girl, would you pick yourself to date?
Right. That's such a good question.
Yeah, because if you're like, fuck no, I wouldn't date myself. I'm a piece of shit. Like I don't do anything. All I do is drink. I watch TV. Game of Thrones is my favorite part of the week. Like,
right.
Then in that case, why would a girl pick you? Because the girl has options. Like the high quality girl has options, and she doesn't need to settle for you if you wouldn't even date yourself. So I think even for guys listening, they're like, damn, I probably wouldn't date myself. Or if you say you would, then that's great. That's even more confidence to you.
The reframe there for me is like in my 20s, I would have answered that question. Yeah, of course I would want to date myself. I think I'm pretty awesome. But I didn't quite know myself very well. I thought I did. See, the trick is that a lot of guys can delude themselves here and think they know themselves really well and think they're pretty awesome, because I was attracting a lot of women. So I didn't have a problem with that. But I was attracting insecure women who were more like girls and who couldn't meet me. And also they couldn't challenge me and say, dude, you're totally full of shit. And then one woman came along late in my 20s who ended up being the woman that introduced my wife and I, and she was the first woman in my life that called bullshit on me. And I was both shocked and scared and also really drawn in and like, wow, that was awesome.
Like she could see through you.
Yeah, she could totally see through me.
See through the bullshit.
Yeah, the bullshit, the facade, the Mr. Cool, the whatever racket I was running at the time.
Yeah, I want to even kind of touch on too, like money. So for some listeners, and I get these emails, and I just want to kind of throw this out there. Like sometimes a guy thinks money will solve his problems, and of course get to a level where you're comfortable, where you can take care of yourself. But as far as if I get more money, then I can get the girl. If I get this job, if I'm more successful, if I'm making X amount of dollars, if I have this car, this house, then finally I can get the woman that I want. So it's like first I get the money, then the woman will come. So for your clients, you've been doing this work for a while. I'm sure you've had quite a few successful guys where money did not solve their problems.
Oh yeah, miserable. So money didn't work. They found out from their own experience that didn't cut it. And that's what's great about the guys who do that. Life is really trustworthy that way. You're going to get the feedback, and you're going to realize you get to the summit of making, 6 or 7 figures, and you're going to be thinking you're psyched, but you get to the summit and the view is not the fantasy you had made it out to be. And it's actually, there's just another summit to climb.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, wait a minute. And so the great thing about that is most of those men, if they're smart, at some point, false summit after false summit will start to catch on, like I did with my failed relationships, right? I started to catch on a little bit and go, maybe I'm the issue here.
Wow. And so now that we kind of just debunked that, and by any means am I not saying like, guys, don't make money, you don't build a business. I'm all for entrepreneurship, but just knowing that, hey, this isn't going to solve this problem. It will solve your money problem. That's what it will solve.
Yeah, and the great thing about the money thing is I celebrate anyone who wants to go make money, but if you think it's going to solve your problems, then think again, and life is just going to show you otherwise.
Yeah, got it. So we kind of talked about guys who are coming to you in pain. Now, what about someone who is in an existing relationship? Things are going pretty well. Maybe they're in a long-term relationship or they're even married. Things are pretty well. Don't really see anything popping out at the moment, but would like to deepen the relationship and really take it to the next level. Maybe the relationship hasn't grown in some time and it's kind of stagnating. How do you help these guys?
Yeah, well, first of all, if they don't get any help, life again will just come in with some challenge to get them to wake up out of the trance. Anytime we fall asleep, life is again built in to kind of snap us out of our fog. Sometimes some of us are pretty dense, like I was, and we can stay pretty asleep for a pretty long time. But if you're a little more proactive than that and you want to actually do something about it, you kind of raise your hand and you're like, hey, whoa, I'm not satisfied. I want to go. One of my favorite statements that I tell guys, look your woman in the eye, grab her hand and just say, I want more. I want to go deeper with you. And women who are up for the journey will find that very attractive, a little confronting, maybe a little scary and uncomfortable, but they will get butterflies and then it'll sing to their heart in some way because that man is taking a stand for what he wants, right? Yeah. An insecure woman who's not ready will feel like, might roll her eyes and, geez, why do you have to be so serious? And that's probably not someone you want to be with.
Find that to be really powerful. I challenge anyone right now who's listening in a relationship to do that tonight. Just grab your partner, hold her hand, and just look her in the eyes and say, I want more. I want to go deeper. I think she might be thinking, finally.
Yeah. A good woman is going to think, yes. Yes is going to be her first response, and then she might go into her head and get scared, but yes is going to be the first response.
Yeah, so I think that's a good point there. Go into the head and get scared. At first, it's like your initial gut reaction is like, yes, this is great. And this goes with a lot of things, but do you feel like going into the head is not the best resource for making the big decisions?
It's good for survival.
Yes.
That's what animals do. Is they're hyper vigilant and they're on alert, looking for the predator, right? So being in your mind is good that way. But when it comes to living a really fulfilled, easeful lifestyle and just rocking it out, you got to be in your heart. And that's, again, what your people and your community and your kids and your woman want from you, is for you to be in your body and in your heart. And you want that ultimately because that's a more robust you.
Be in your heart. showing more emotion and being more vulnerable is what I'm getting from you.
Maybe that's one interpretation of being in your heart. Another interpretation could mean that you care enough to say no to things in your life because you dig on yourself, and you care enough about your time that you say, no, thank you. I'm not going to lunch with you. My time is more valuable than that. If you're getting asked to lunch, let's say by someone you don't really care about, that's like being in your heart. You love yourself and even this other person enough to say no thanks. Being in our heart can sometimes be translated as cry or something, but it's so much more than that.
Okay. So really not feeling like you're obliged to do things for people just because they're asking, and really listening to yourself and your own needs.
Yeah, your own needs and desires. And a man who's in his heart is in touch with his desire and he's going after it. And that's a powerful guy. He's attractive. He's on mission. He's on point. He's following his desire and his want. And he will do whatever it takes to get what he wants, whether it's the house or the money or the job or the girl. If he's in his heart, he's not going to hurt people along the way. It's the narcissistic, disowned masculine that's like, I'll do whatever I can to get what I want, and I will step on people in the process. That's a disconnected male. That's kind of what people complain about when they think of powerful men, right? Because there's plenty of powerful men that do that, but that's not what I'm talking about.
Right. Okay. What do you feel about the man who is driven by pain to get what he wants? Driven from some childhood insecurity to get what he wants?
Well, I mean, I'd say most successful people are that way. So I'd say it's great. It's great. And that gives your past, can reinforce your past and give it a lot of power. Let's say I came from a broken home and I was, abused as a kid, and I become a success in my life. That person will be fulfilled if they are thanking their past and what they went through and they're grateful for it. If they keep trying to run from their past and prove to other people that they're not this insecure, beaten down boy, they're not going to be very happy because they're constantly trying to prove something.
I'm getting this. Would this be a form of living in the past, though? If you're using your past as a motivator to create something in the future, are you living in the past still, holding on to something that happened in the past?
No. It again depends on how you're playing it in the moment. But one of my mentors says, whatever you can say thank you for in your past is fuel. Whatever you can't is baggage.
Wow. We could just brush through some tough moments in life. It could be a breakup, a divorce, a loss of a job, a failed business, and even maybe being overweight when you're younger, and looking back and being able to say, hey, thanks for that. Because of that, I did this.
Yeah. A classic one is a kid gets bullied.
Yeah.
I was bullied a little bit, and you get bullied. And if you can't turn around in your past, look at your past and say thank you to the bully, you're carrying that baggage into the future and you're still reacting from that. And now you're fearful of certain kind of men, and you have some issues with, certain groups, and that's your past running you. But if you don't want your past to run you, then you got to learn how and go through methods on how to thank and even love and appreciate the bully and every heart, the abusive father or whatever you went through. And if you don't, it's fine. It's just another way to live, and you're going to be still in tension and giving your past a lot of power, and you're still going to be reacting in the present.
Wow. So is this how someone can really remove that victim mentality that he or she may feel? Be able to say thank you for what happened to me, and now I'm using it as fuel for the present.
Well, that would be an oversimplification if I just say thanks, but there's a method I take people through to actually genuinely and sincerely appreciate your past. So it's more than just saying thank you, just to be clear. We got to really dig into our heart and feel the, feel the pain and wow, that was really gnarly what I went through. That was like fucking intense or whatever. And then to get to a place through a process that can take hours or days or weeks, depending on how you work it, to get to true gratitude is liberating.
Okay, so I'm feeling that. And also what I'm getting from you is this theme of like, hey, life shows you what you need. life is telling you something here. I'm seeing that in a lot of your answers.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, I have this view, that's part of the view that I give people, right, is life is on your side. And so long as you don't think it is, you're going to struggle a lot. So if I take the view that life's on my side, the struggles I do have, that I will continue to have the rest of my life, are not a big deal. They're just challenges that are going to make me stronger. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So if a guy is being taken advantage of, maybe let's just say he's the quote unquote nice guy. What are some things the nice guy can do to break free from that, or even just acknowledge?
So the nice guy is playing out a polarity, right? Mm-hmm. There's nice and mean. So he's overly nice because his childhood and whatever he went through, he learned to be nice as a strategy to get love. So what he needs to do if he wants to stretch himself and grow is, number one, be open to that and be open to, wow, this nice guy racket isn't totally working for me. It works in certain situations, which is cool, but it's ultimately not very fulfilling. Then he needs to embrace the other side, which is mean. So if I'm in a men's group with him, leading him, I have him act out and get in touch with his mean side and be a total dick and show up late and tell people off and start playing with the other polarity, the other side, to the point where he starts balancing them out and walks it in his life. And again, if I'm working with someone individually, I have a process that I walk them through where they start to see the benefits actually to the other side, because most nice guys have it that I never get angry and I'm never mean, and that's all repressed. That's just buried inside of them. And so they see people that are mean in life and they get all on their high horse about it. It's just because they're disowned. And a nice guy will always attract a mean woman into his life, or a mean someone into his life, to snap him out of his addiction to being a half of a person, which is just nice. But if he's honest, he's nice and he's mean. And the more he embraces that, the less he draws in challenge that's mean in his life to get him back to the center.
Got it. And I've heard you say a few times this word racket. And so can you break that down for the audience? What do you mean by saying racket?
Right on. To me, that's like when I'm running a racket, I'm just more in a trance. I'm more in reaction. I'm less in my heart. And I'm a little fused or identified with my perspective of how I see the world. And it's just narrow. It's one way to play ball, but it's narrow. A guy that's a little more conscious can even snap out of it. He's in a racket. He's like, whoa, I was just kind of running my thing there. And he can take a more meta perspective, right? 30,000 foot level, and look down upon himself and go, wow, that was kind of infantile. Or that was
common examples of rackets that men have.
Women are always, whenever we get into stereotypes, when we see the world is out to get us, when we find ourselves reacting or falling asleep, kind of going more on the hypo scale, hypoarousal in the nervous system, we sort of check out a lot. I call that getting into a trance, where I just get on my computer and I go right to email and Facebook, for example, versus letting other people dictate my day, versus waking up in the morning and having a practice of some kind, and then planning and stepping into my day from choice and not letting other people run my day. When I let other people run my life like that, on a subtle level, I'm in a trance. And then I'm vulnerable to all the consumerism out there, to buying the latest, greatest technology toy or gadget or something to take the edge off. I want to feel a little hit of dopamine, right? And that feels better than feeling kind of flat and numb.
The Apple Watch just came out. Got to get it.
Right.
Going to sleep
exactly.
outside of Apple Store.
It's amazing, right? How they can do that. Put people in a trance like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I used to work at the Apple Store. So I did the iPhone launches and iPad launch. And I got to experience firsthand, to say the next day was the launch. Even a few days before, people would be setting up camp. They'd be bringing their sleeping bags and they would just sleep and not leave. Literally like go 2 days without work, just sitting there. When it's time to get in, they don't get a discount or anything for waiting. They get their iPhone, then it's over. And then they got their iPhone. So can't believe that they can't just order it online or wait a few days. But, that's the power of a powerful brand and story.
Yeah, and also people really want to be led, and they want something that feels good, and they want to feel like they belong. And that's a social status one, I think.
Yeah.
If I have the cool new gadget, I'm going to be liked more by people.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
it's a human thing. We all do that.
To feel connected. Jayson, let's now dive into the knowledge round. I'm just going to ask you some rapid fire questions here, short part of the show.
Great.
Hey, I want to share with you more about the Knowledge for Men 3-day intensive retreat. I will show you how to discover yourself so you'll know exactly who you are, what you want, and have the conviction on how to get there. You can become a leader so you can achieve greatness in all aspects of your life and become the man you want to be. It is all lying within us dormant until the right teacher helps us tap into our inner warrior. You will be tested, challenged, and pushed beyond your limits. And together, we will push the boundaries of what is really possible in your life. So go to kfmretreat.com to apply because there are only 10 spots for the retreat, and there are thousands of people listening to this right now. When the 10 spots are gone, they're gone. So go to kfmretreat.com and join me now. This is your time. I'd love to serve you in building and creating a bigger life. Welcome to the Knowledge Round, where the guests will be asked rapid-fire questions to give the audience invaluable pieces of wisdom to help transform their lives. Starting in 3, 2, 1, showtime. First question I have for you, Jayson, is what advice would you give to someone who's feeling kind of unsure of their purpose?
I would say get even more honest than that and say, grab 3 of your closest friends and tell them that. And be transparent and say, guys, I'm not feeling like I'm on my purpose and I want to find it. And I'm going to make that my sole priority for the rest of 2015. So making a commitment in front of at least one man, maybe a couple, to put the stake in the ground and say, I'm gonna face this because I've been kind of avoiding it. So that's what I would tell them.
Yeah. So sharing with others what's going on and getting some accountability.
Yeah, and being honest and transparent.
Got it. Yeah, I think that can be, if you're just in your head all the time and you're not really communicating with the world, then sometimes it can just prolong the journey.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because back to the heart thing, I see people suffer a lot for years trying to figure out their purpose and they're in their head the whole time going about it the wrong way. So I get it. I mean, I've been there and it's painful. It literally creates headaches, but you want to come back into your body and hire a mentor, work with a guide that can actually help you get clear on that.
Yeah, I like that. And so what was holding you back from becoming the man you are now today?
Fear. Fear is always what holds me back. Fear still holds me back in certain areas of my life. I just get scared, and I'm like, oh shit, here I am scared. I could be scared of what? It's not like a saber-tooth tiger is coming to eat me, but I have a lot of them are more relational fears, right? Because of my past and whatever I've been through. Fear of failure, fear of being seen as incompetent, fear of falling on my face in front of people. There's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'd say fear is probably the biggest one.
Yeah. Okay. So on your journey, you've read so much. I know this is a tough question, but what would you say are 2 or 3 of your most influential books with the type of work that you do?
Well, my main mentor right now is John DeMartini, and so I'd say any of his books are great. The Heart of Love, I'm into relationships, so that book, The Heart of Love, is a game changer if you're wanting to go to the next level in your relationships.
Okay. All right. And as a relationship coach and helping people break through in their relationships, what are 2 or 3 skills that you really need to have in order to succeed in your field?
Yeah, so it takes quite a bit of skill, and people need to get, I'd say, 2 or 3 things. The first one is the context we talked about. If you have a relationship as kind of a fairy tale place where you finally find the woman of your dreams and then you park your car and you set up shop and everything's good, you're in a fantasy and you're going to be shown by life that sucks. After the honeymoon phase wears off, it's going to be hard. And when it gets hard, if you don't have tools, you're going to suffer some more. So I teach people a context that relationship is designed to get you to grow. And if you get on board with that, you're going to have an enjoyable time in your relationships over the long haul. Your woman hopefully is going to demand that you grow directly and indirectly, right? You're going to come up against your own stuff. So you got to have tools for that. And most of us weren't taught how to do relationship. We weren't taught how to fight. We weren't taught how to do conflict and even own an I statement. And so I teach people those tools. So you got to learn how to make I statements. You got to take responsibility for your experience
Yeah.
and what's happening for you inside of you rather than inside of them, things like that.
Got it. Okay. All right. And now I got a scenario here for you. So imagine you had 60 seconds with your 20-year-old self. What would you tell him to do, and what would you tell him not to do?
Ooh, nice. I'd say first, I love you and I believe in you and I know you're going to find your way, and don't flinch for a minute on the noise out there. Keep going inside and finding out what's true and finding out who you are. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
Anything not to do?
No, I'd say you're going to find your way. You're playing it just right.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that. Okay. And anything pop up on that previous question about the mentor conversation?
I'll say it's more of a general theme, which is mentors. It's not so much maybe what they said, it's how they were with me. And the several mentors I've had were both very fiercely loving and not tolerating my bullshit. So they were able to cut through and truly see me for who I am rather than buy into some of my defensive strategies or trying to get approval from them or whatever. They just cut through and cared about me enough to tell me the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. I like they don't buy into your bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, very good, very good. Now, just kind of looking back and summarizing from, let's say, like where you were at 29, when you really had the aha moment and kind of set the journey and the tone for what you were going to accomplish and achieve, to where you are now, having helped so many men and having a thriving website and community there in Boulder. What would you say has become your philosophy on life and success?
It's really comes back to my quote, which is, if I'm expecting anyone to do it for me, I'm in a fantasy. And it's really important that I keep coming back to, I create the life I want. That's up to me. There's no like little handouts that people are going to give me. And the most successful people that I study and learn from, that's just true for them. And they keep drilling that into my brain, and it feels really right on. And it feels so good, right? When you earn something, whether it's you earn, like, have you ever been given a spot on a team because you knew the dad's coach or something?
Yeah.
It's a different quality versus earning your way on a team, or earning the raise, or earning the girl because you really wanted it and you really committed to it, or you earned the marathon that you trained for, or the ultra triathlon or whatever you're doing. Like, when you just set your mind to something and you want something bad enough and you actually go out and make it happen, it will happen. And there's nothing more rewarding than that to me. And it's so magical. And so I'm learning that as I take my business to the next level, that no one's going to do this for me. I got to learn skills that I previously didn't have, and even I rejected. And it's been really fun and uncomfortable and edgy for me to take scale my business and grow to the next level, because I'm getting worked a lot and I'm really enjoying myself, and it's happening. It's working because I want it bad enough, and I'm willing to like move mountains to make it happen. And it feels so great when I have victories because I did it. I can't point the finger to anyone else saying, "Oh, you did it for me," or, I got this lucky break. It's like, no, I did this.
Wow. That was really good. Really refreshing to hear. I'm feeling chills down my spine. Thank you for that, Jayson. Just concluding the knowledge around there. So what is really getting you out of bed in the morning? What's really exciting you?
Yeah, well, my kids literally get me out of bed sometimes. These two beautiful little beings just smacking me around and jumping on me. And, if I'm not up before them, it's really amazing. Parenting and child rearing is probably the greatest accomplishment and joy of my life. And I can say that with all my heart. And my business, that I am here to, with my wife, demonstrate how to do intimacy and relationship in monogamy over the long haul, and how to continue to find fulfillment. And with the craziness and insanity of our schedules and children, that I'm here to live what I teach, live and breathe what I teach.
Yeah. I could feel that. Go ahead and leave a plug for yourself on how the audience can connect with you.
Yeah, I'd say my main website is jasongaddis.com. You can certainly find a lot of great relationship nuggets there. And if you want to be on a men's only list and hear about male offerings and masculine stuff, you can just do Jayson Gaddis, Jayson Gaddis.com/dark masculine. Dark masculine. And why I say dark is because that's the place that I like to go with men, is to the shadow and to the place that you're not really willing to go and don't want to. And that's because that's where all the gold is.
Yeah, I like that. All right, Jayson, thank you so much for your time, sharing with me your story, being vulnerable here on the show, and giving us these nuggets of wisdom for my listeners. I appreciate that, Jayson.
You got it, Andrew. Thanks for what you're up to for the bros out there.
Thank you for listening to the Knowledge for Men podcast. Hundreds of interviews and 1 million downloads later, we're continuing to build an international movement, and we've just started. So if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and leave a review in iTunes. It really helps to grow the podcast. Guys, 2015 is the official year of living with purpose, where every day you do only the things that matter to you. You wake up, live with purpose, and take massive action towards the life you want. Check out kfmfree.com to get free tools I've created to help you crush life. Again, that's kfmfree.com. This is your host, Andrew Farabee, and I'll see you in the next episode.